This is like my gunk shirt slash gonna be for this one podcast. See how it works. I just figured it's got a blade, so it works out.
I'm glad you are wearing a gunk shirt for our podcast. How the high regard that you hold this in, that you wear gunk clothing.
Does that foreshadow things?
But foreshadow what? What are you talking about? So foreshadowing there.
What you don't know is that this is turning into this is a shit game episode. I'm joking.
No,
it's not.
It's not.
It's not. You can't tell me that. It's my fucking opinion, bitch.
Are you gonna be okay?
I don't know.
What's your mood like right now?
Honestly, a little unhinged.
A little unhinged?
Yeah. I can't promise I'll be hinged throughout this episode. This might be that one where I go a little off the rails.
This is All Games Go to Heaven, episode 13, Hyper Light Drifter.
I'm sure there's a Tom Waits song about it.
You're probably right. But,
right.
yeah. But hey, episode 13, here we are.
Yeah.
And after the awkward outro of our last one where we weren't sure what we were talking about, turns out you were right. We are talking about my favorite game of all time. Hyper Light Drifter,
Yeah, you
baby.
goddamn right.
I'm so excited. Hyper Light
Drifter.
Drifter. I'm so excited. I bought a t-shirt for this because I was so excited and I want to be able to rep it now. It's long overdue, I think, getting something to represent my love of this game other than the, special edition that's behind me. Not there, but it's there, just not directly there. Anyway, people that are only listening to this won't be able to tell what the hell I'm talking about. But yes.
In the cloud. It's in the cloud.
It's on some wood shelf. Wait. There?
It's on some
No.
wood shelves. It's just fail after fail. It's out of screen above. I can see the tail bottom of it, so it's like I know exactly where it is. It's above the Gundam on that bottom piece.
You're
Anyways, but you know what? That's a good sign that this is a popular enough game that t-shirts were able to be made from it and people bought them. That's a good sign.
I think so. And I think it's still this company's probably most popular game. They have two that are fully out, and then one that's in early access right now. But we'll get into that. It was made Heart Machine Games. I mean, why not? We're already there. That's the company that made this game, Hyper Light Drifter. Came out in 2016. Was originally a Kickstarter, which I didn't know when I first discovered this game. I just saw a trailer for it, and was immediately sold. I was like, "Yep, this looks exactly what I want." Synthwave Fever Dream pixel art game, yep, sign me up, I'm in. Bought it when it first came out on PC and fell in love with it right away.
Dude, and honestly, as soon as you first even played it, I think I remember walking into your room one time and you were playing it, and I just thought to myself, okay, it's a 2D pixel art. Is it pixel art? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, it's pixel art.
Pixel art style, bladed adventure game with challenge rooms. I was like, this is Steve's game. I just took 2 seconds, 2 looks at it. I was like, this game was made for you, my friend.
Yeah, and it hit really damn hard, and for almost 10 years now, it's been my favorite game of all time. I have a lot of things that'll be favorites that I think change from, I don't want to say year to year, but over time things change. What was your favorite band, or what's your favorite movie? Those have changed for me over time. Since this came out, it has been rock solid as my favorite game.
And judging by your rave reviews in our Discord chat, your ability to even go deeper into it was even more representative of the fact that this is truly the eternal GOAT for you.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
There's just,
well, look.
Go ahead.
And I know what you mean. I get what you mean about taste changing, because as I've gotten older, I do feel, my favorite band's changed, or it's been allowed to inhabit the space with new bands. My favorite movies changed here and there, or at least altered. But with video games, I feel like one day, with the way technology is changing, Mass Effect may get deposed. But I don't think this is ever going to get deposed for you, because this is honestly a perfect expression of all the things you like.
I don't want to, never say never. it's going to be a tough challenge for any other game to top this one so far. Like, there's been, I think there's been stuff that's come close that, you know, we'll talk about at some point, but so far it's there. And I was going to say, I feel like for you, Mass Effect is basically the same until that next thing potentially comes along.
Yeah, I think there's a point with Mass Effect where I may have played it too much. It's to the point where I kind of know everything like the back of my hand. Like during our Q&A, I was like, I knew what everyone was talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Even the episode with Simon, whenever Mass Effect 1 came up, I just knew every quest. I know all the side quests. I know all the possible trees. I truly think throughout all my playthroughs, I've played 100% with that. So I do need an element of surprise. You know what I mean?
Sure.
To truly continue, you know, and Mass Effect will eventually, I think, hit a wall where I'm going to need to take like a 10-year break before I can truly love it again.
In a way, that's almost what I did with this. You know, when it first came out, I played it a lot. Probably that first playthrough was like 20 hours for me, and on average, I'd say this is probably between like a 6 and a 10-hour game, depending on, you know, how good you do and how much stuff you want to find. You know, I wanted to, like, I scoured every square inch of that map the first time I got it, because it just meant more time in that game, in that world, playing. And I think the funny thing about this being my favorite game of all time is how much I'll dog on Zelda, because it is essentially like Synthwave Zelda, but like a Super Nintendo, like Link to the Past. It plays kind of the same, right? You know, you're on that sort of top-down view. You have a sword. You don't have a gun in Zelda. You have a bow, but you know, it's a action adventure game of that same vein. But this world to me is way more interesting and appealing. And I love Link to the Past. I'm never gonna dog on Link to the Past. I'll, you know, dog on Ocarina of Time until the end of time. But for somebody that, I just think it's funny for me to dunk on Zelda so much to essentially have my favorite game be a Zelda-esque game.
It's good that you said that, because you beat me to the punch. I was gonna bring that exact goddamn point up, where even especially like there's parts of the game that we'll deep dive into a little bit more that feel especially Zelda. Like there's a part that is, I'm like, oh my god. The only difference is there's no green trees like in Zelda. There's red trees. Like this is literally this. But yeah, I can tell that a lot of this team's influence came from those kind of titles, especially A Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm. Totally. There's something to be said for iterations or inspirations and, you know, improving on what came before. I think this is a very strong case for it. Yeah, I have so much bias towards it. I think it's better that, you know, you speak to those sort of things or the quality of it, because, like, am I going to say anything bad about it? Probably not. Like, I love it. I'm going to gush about the game. Yeah. But it came out in 2016, Heart Machine Games, like we said. Why don't you... I would rather you tell us about the story, simply for the fact that... Yeah. Like, I know what my impressions are. I'm very curious what yours are, because there's no dialogue in this game. Yeah, it's all either, you know, you have the cutscene at the beginning. There's a couple throughout, sporadically, and then the conversations, you know, quote unquote, that you have with people are just pictures. You know, they make a little noise, but they're not actually saying anything, and there's no written words. So, you know, you hit start. What do you think the intro tells us?
So what Hyperlight Drifter is about, this character I call the Drifter.
That's what he's called, yeah.
Okay. I specifically didn't look up any story elements to keep the surprise going, because what is unique is you can kind of build it through pictures. So what you realize is that you are the Drifter, and you have been, I don't know if you could call it, trapped within a loop of decay and destruction that keeps rebirthing you into this cycle of dark karmic plague and evil that is corrupting your land, or what it is, or if you're just quite literally the Drifter who is awakening in this land that has been plunged into darkness. Like a land that was once clearly made of giants and myths and legends and a universe that was very futuristic, but keeps a bit of like a feudal-esque elements to it in regards to how people are combining blades and guns. But very in tap with nature. People have sort of amalgamated into this small city you find in the middle, but everyone has been ravaged by this darkness starting to spread. And all you really know is this dream you're introduced to before you're spit out into the lands as the drifter, which is that there was a big explosion or a light that engulfed the kingdom, if you will. Let's call it the kingdom.
Sure.
It contaminated everything. It shattered the crystals that kept the power together and sort of corrupted everything around you. And now there are only a few people who are lingering stragglers that have gathered together into this village that you find yourself in after being saved by another, I guess, drifter or just a knight or some sort of survivor who has badass fighting capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
The pink caped one.
The pink drifter, yeah.
Yeah, the pink drifter. And you are saved by the pink drifter, and you awake with only these scattered remains of a memory, and also this dreamlike hound that is almost part sphinx that has been guiding you through these visions of everything being swallowed up by darkness. And it's your job to travel to the four corners of the land, turn back on the scattered crystals, I call them, or triangles as you find throughout, or shards,
Mm-hmm.
and in a sense purge the kingdom of evil.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. So now,
It's pretty good.
you who's been in like Reddit, deep threads, and everything else, how would you describe the story?
I mean, it's almost the same vein, right? There was a civilization there prior to the drifter being there, and you see remnants of it like all over the place. You know, the giant mechanical, juggernauts or whatever you want to call them, the vestiges of that. There's in the southern zone, all the old laboratories and things like that, which I want to sort of touch on later. But at some point, this civilization created a power that destroyed them. And all that was left is now this sort of in the center of the kingdom, like you called it, there's this last vestige of civilization that's struggling to survive because on all sides, everyone's just being killed off by, these antagonistic forces. And the last vestige of civilization happens to be, right on top of where this evil seems to be stemming from. In that introductory vision, the drifter is like pulled down by this darkness and you don't know what it is as he's trying to reach for, this glowing light. So you don't really know what happened other than there was a cataclysm at some point, and now this is all that remains. And through this vision, I think the drifter feels compelled, to recover these fragments so that you can open, the hatch in the middle of the town and go and face this darkness. I don't even think the drifter knows why. It's almost like the hound that guides you is like, it's just like the manifestation of destiny,
But what's crazy is that because this story, uniquely so, which is one of the most unique aspects of this game, is there's no words, right? So it's all pictures and epic music. But what's interesting is in your visions, you're also seeing, without giving it away, visions of your future as well, which makes me consistently feel like what's interesting is that you took the interp that those colossus, because there are giants, there's these mechanical giants, kind of like in, oh my god, why am I forgetting the game we did in episode 2? Star Renegades. Like, also they had giant titans, like the skeletons of titans. Also in this game, there's skeletons of titans everywhere, your motif. But it's interesting that you view them as the society that was just absorbed by this cataclysm, because for me, I almost interpreted this as a sort of cyclical pattern similar to Mass Effect, which is an interesting through line that I got between the stories, because you're seeing visions of your future which kind of play out closer to the end of the game.
Right.
Some of those dreamlike sequences.
I know what you mean, yeah.
At the end of the game, it almost feels like the Drifter's destinies to end up back at the beginning sequences almost every time. which is interesting because then it almost introduced to me the cyclical nature that those cataclysmic giants and titans were part of an even more ancient society, and that there's been a more recent one that's been plagued yet again by this darkness.
I actually love that interpretation. I think that's great. And, in the context of it being a video game, it almost makes sense. You beat the game and you start again. So the drifter is
Yeah.
almost caught on a loop. To me, it was the hyper advanced civilization created something that destroyed themselves. That was my takeaway from it. And there is a language. So there in this game, you go. One of the things you can do is finding secrets, and there's these monoliths. And the monoliths, when you click them, there'll be a vision of somebody that pops up, and then like symbols. And based on the fact that the four shops in town, people kind of figured out, this means sword shop and this means gun shop. People figured out what all the symbols mean and parsed the language, which is crazy.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So the 16 monoliths tell the story of the game. I don't want to read it off. I don't even actually remember the full legitimate thing. I remember it being still kind of vague. I like the open-endedness where we each have our own interpretation better, so I'd rather leave it at that.
But they didn't give any like clear cut. This civilization destroyed itself or anything like that.
Not to my memory, but I could be wrong. So
That's
I don't want to say a definitive no.
Yeah, but I love that. I mean, that's sort of what I love is when there's archaeological levels to a game where they almost don't need to explain, right? Even with Mass Effects, you hear about the Protheans, which are your last era, but like there's more buried beneath that, right? In the Reaper cycles. With this game, there's architectural layers just sitting there, just waiting. Like you don't ever get the answers, but they're there as this beautiful magic on top. One of my favorite elements to a game.
Yeah, I mean, even in that first playthrough, where I said I scoured every inch of it, it was still just me telling my own story in that game and or within the context of that world. The learning what the actual story was or what the monolith said didn't come till later, and I'm still prefer that. Like when you go into each of the zones, there's always one person that's like the last remnant of that civilization that alludes to what the boss is, but it's just like a haunting image, and then your map comes up and it's like this person's over here. They're warning you,
Yeah.
or they're telling you. I love that. It's for such a colorful game. It's actually pretty horrific, right? Because
Yeah.
every there. I mean, I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves a bit, but there's the main town, like you mentioned, which has shops to upgrade your sword or your gun, get more health packs, upgrade your grenades and your dash ability, which is one of my favorite mechanics in any game is the movement in this. But from there's 4 zones: north, south, east, and west. And you can tackle them in any order except for south, which is locked off until you do the other 3. Most people seem to think that you should be going east first, because when you first come to the town, it draws your attention to the vault, and there's a dog that runs off towards the east, and everyone takes that as the symbol to go east. I ignored that, and so did you.
Yep.
Yeah, we both went north. Arguably, I think arguably the east boss is easier, and you probably should go there first, but just the north called to us both.
Yeah, I couldn't. I didn't. It wasn't even a question to me. I was like, it's logical that you should go north, which is very interesting to me. But like, that's with everything. Like I remember playing Skyrim, I went north. Like you know what I mean? The north just calls to you. Like you're just How do you not? How do you not?
It's the mountains, man. These snowy capped mountains, and these almost there's still remnants of whatever sort of bird civilization was there, but now they're all being killed by like crows. Like bipedal crows that can wield magic. And like, to loop back on the darkness thing, I mean, every one of these zones that you go into, the people that live there are being massacred by this, this antagonistic force. And it's not clear whether, these, bad guys, for a lack of a better term, came in of their own accord, or if they're people that live there and were corrupted. you don't know, but you just know that when you go there, they're trying to kill you, and anything else that's not them.
Well, it's like they're almost bound to whatever of the four shards you're trying to like reclaim or turn back on is, right? It's like I think they are corrupted because it's almost like they're being lured by the central antagonist, which is this dream you continuously see throughout it of this dark, floating creature just wrapped in darkness, like a cybernetic creature wrapped in darkness. That every time you think things are going good for you, just shows up and just harasses you more and more in dream sequences and leaves you just bleeding. And honestly, it's almost like an ethereal wound it leaves in you every time, because sometimes it'll hurt you really bad and stab you and lift you up. But it seems like they're all heeding the call to protect that shard from the ethereal darkness, like the main antagonist.
You think they're protecting it from? So it has a name. Yeah, from you. Okay, from the protagonist. The thing you're referring to, I found out recently. It has a name. Do you want to know what the name is?
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah.
Well, you say you didn't want to know before, but anyway, so that
No.
that thing that's always like chasing you and seemingly killing you in these dream sequences is called Judgment.
Judgment.
It's called Judgment, and we haven't mentioned that the Drifter seems to have an illness. He's sick. He coughs up blood like pretty regularly, and it's usually the coughing up of blood is what precedes judgment appearing and tormenting you.
See, this only adds to the meta layers of this game.
Right?
It's like you're just kind of. I think what this podcast episode actually is you and me figuring out what the fuck this game is about.
If we managed to pull that off, that'd probably be the best episode we've ever done.
It's like the studio just sends us a limited edition copy for each of us. We have a gold copy we've never shared with anyone. There you go, gentlemen.
No one's ever figured it out before you.
Not the people who've deciphered the language or anything. Just
Nope.
you two hacks talking on a computer screen.
That would be a huge success for me. I'd love it. I would.
Well, yeah, and just to talk a little bit more about the gameplay, because we were on that tangent before we went to Judgment. It is interesting because this is almost a kickback to those old school games, like, and we keep saying it, but A Link to the Past, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like top-down view. You got your little square. You get to explore, and the camera kind of drifts along with you. But there are sections, even whether you go north, east, west, south. There's the little quadrants that the camera follows you, and then you exit them just like you would in a Zelda game, old school.
Yeah,
or other games like
you
that.
move to another screen.
Yeah, or Dragon Quest or anything. So it's got that nostalgia reference, and you do have two options. You have a number of guns you are awarded or you discover throughout the game, which all have different capacities and stuff. And then you have your blade, which can have different tactics to it, right? Different upgrades and whatnot. And along the way, you have this epic dash. So it is a very accessible gameplay. Like it's not impossible, because it's almost in our core memory of gamers to know how to work this system. It's just a case of the upgrades and the little things they do is when you really get to the depth maps of this game.
Yeah, but starting off, you literally just have a basic 3-hit combo and you have a pistol, and then your ability to dash forward. Dash forward a bit. Eventually, once you have enough credits, you can buy a chain dash, which is where your movement in this game just gets so crazy and so fast. And I don't know if you ever noticed it, but like if you do a few dashes and then stop, he'll do this like really sick slide to come to a stop. It looks so good. It's such a nice little tasty detail that they added in there, because he could have just like moved and then been done, but the momentum carries into this sick slide, and I was like, oh, so good. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, of course I know that, because I tried the one gambit. When you first get that, is you have to go to this one room where they want you to chain dash 100 times to unlock this vault. And if you're really mastering this game and you want to get good at it, you have to train there. And you're either hitting walls or you're sliding, man. You're figuring out how the hell to use this thing. So frustratingly so, I've learned what this is. Frustratingly so.
Because you can't just mash the button. There is a timing to it. Yeah. And there is, I don't know if you noticed, there is also stamina.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you're using abilities or when you're chain dashing, your stamina meter depletes. As long as you don't stop chain dashing, it can go
Yes.
infinitely. But if you do like a say 4 or 5 power attacks in a row and your stamina is depleted, you can't then just go start chain dashing.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I've run into that. But
Yeah.
you were the only. So I didn't. I got the 100 challenge in that room. But there's a bigger challenge. That
Yeah.
You promised me you'd tell me about. And right now we're talking about it. So you promised you'd tell me.
Yeah, so I did the 100 challenge as well on this one. I didn't do 800 this time. I did it when I originally played. Not like I didn't do it with a controller, I didn't do it with a keyboard. I wrote a script for it.
Oh my God! Screw you!
It's
Screw you,
it's
man.
800, man. It's 800. Anybody with like that wants to maintain their sanity did this. That was the common practice when this first came out. Is write a script so that when you hit a key, it inputs it for you until you tell it to stop. So it would just be him dashing, left, right, left, right, left, right until it got to 800.
Screw you guys! Screw everyone out there who did this. I tried so hard. I got to like 315.
Oh my god.
Oh my God! Like, or maybe it was like 285, but I remember getting close to 300 or just above, and I just remember being like, "That's it, no way!" Like I thought it was gonna end at 200, and it didn't. And I kept going. I was like, because you just get teased because there's this one room where you open it and you get
A credit.
a credit, because you collect 4 almost coin chips to create or 4 credits to create a full coin that you can spend later on. And you go up there and I'm like, okay, cool prize, but then what the hell is behind that other door? A key, right?
I'm pretty sure it's a key.
I'm so disappointed in you.
That's okay.
I'm so disappointed in you.
Why?
Whatever.
Why?
Whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I just thought you had these legendary powers. I thought you're better than that.
I never claimed that.
Lies.
I never claimed that. But I think you also...
Take off that shirt right now.
No.
Take off that shirt right now.
No, I'm not taking off my shirt. I think you also touched on something that I also really like about this game. Because of the lack of dialogue or written word, nothing is really explained, right? So let's go through. Me and you, we both go north. The screen transitions. You're greeted again with this, Technicolor dreamscape. Nothing really too dangerous. There's like little enemies that go down in one hit, but you can already start exploring. This game is very much, you can just go mainline, straight up the main path, or you can start exploring, and it rewards your exploration. And then the first time you find one of those crates that flash gold, you break it open and you pick it up. It like fills in one of 4 slots. You don't know what the heck that is. And then all of a sudden you do it 3 more times and it combines and you're like, okay, I have one of these things now. And it's not until you've, sort of gone back to town and explore the town and go into the shops, you're like, oh, okay, they're coins. I love that this game doesn't hold your hand because it doesn't really need to. Like, I'm not saying tutorials and games are bad. There are definitely games that need it and where it's very welcome. I think there's good ways to do it and bad ways to do it. With this game, I love the sense of just go figure it out, discover it.
Well, you only need like 3 or 4 buttons for it, right? With games like that, if you can't just explore the 3 or 4 button combinations you have, which is like dash, hit, gun, and grenade, I'm pretty sure, or change gun. So that's like 4 or 5 buttons right there. Like, no offense, but like if you can't play around with a 2D game, I don't know. Like, are you a gamer? I'm not saying that you shouldn't play this game. It's just like I agree with you. I don't need to get my handheld on something this simple. Mm-hmm. This should be simple. I think we all have it within us as living creatures in the digital age to be able to figure that out. All of us have played some semblance of a game that has those button combos to be able to figure something out. You might get frustrated with the combat, don't get me wrong. You might get frustrated with the lack of, like you said, you don't really know where to spend the currency. You got a gun, but then you get given another gun at some point in the north, and you're like, okay, well, what's the point of the difference in guns? Like, what does this really do? And you're figuring it out as you go. You shoot your first guy, you're like, okay, that gun didn't really do anything. Okay, my blade's not really doing much damage against this guy. Okay, so, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? That is the point I expect to break people, not the lack of tutorial. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I don't disagree. For me, I think the difficulty might dissuade some people from this game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm happy I didn't have to ask you for help, Corbin. But with any of the bosses, so I just like, yeah. I'm happy I figured it out, and I'm not even. And I hate 100. I hate the From Software formula. I'm not a fan of that. I hate it. So that's why I hated old games of the past, because so many games were like that, where you had to just throw yourself at this wall until you broke it. And I'm not a fan of that, so I expected a little bit of element of that, but I didn't. I found it very accessible.
I found it better this time than when I originally played it. And like I said, I had that 10-year basically gap, or 9 years. We're in 2025. Other than helping Corbin beat the one boss and messing around to show people the game that I thought would like it, I haven't done a full playthrough. I haven't really gone and fought all the other bosses and done this or that. I had a way easier time. The hardest one was the first one that we both fought, which is the crow boss in the north. That was when I struggled with the most.
In the beginning, like your first playthrough?
No, in this one.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Really?
That's crazy. I don't know. I don't know. To me, that's crazy, because I found him easier than the one to the west. But anyways, we're getting off tangent. So you went up north, you found a coin. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about how your journey goes as you're progressing through these sections?
Sure. You go from screen to screen. You're exploring if you want to. You can find these shards on some of the off-beaten paths. You can find places you can't access until later. Then you're encountering enemies. And then the North Zone, you have these, like green wolfhounds and these crow magicians that are launching blasts at you, and ones that fly and dive bomb. And it's just this, like, really kinetic and frenetic action every time. You'll go into a zone and it's just like, here you go. Like, it's on. And you're dashing around, sword, gun, dash, dodging, attacking. Eventually, with the sword upgrade, you can hit projectiles back at dudes or dash through them to recharge your guns. It just feels really good. It feels really, really good to play. And the North Zone, pretty early on, you get to this viewpoint where you see one of these colossi, draped over a mountain, destroyed, and the music swells. And it's just this really appealing to me mix of really intense action that all looks and feels and plays beautifully, mixed in with these serene moments of exploration. And it's like that the whole game until you get to the boss and take out the boss, and then it releases a blocker. So like you can beat the boss without getting everything you need to access the main vault, because every zone has shards, right? And you need 4 shards to sort of unlock that part of the we'll call it the vault in the center. But there are 8 in every zone. I personally went for all 8. I found them pretty easy this time. Like, I think that my whole run took me 9 hours. And what getting all 8 of them allows you to do is go to a challenge room in that zone. Each zone has a door that is locked until you have 8 of these shards. And then you go in there. It's either a combat challenge or like a movement challenge. And at the end is usually keys or new equipment. Because in this game, you can change your sword, your cape, and you have a little floaty buddy that I forget what they're called. But each one that you find, I don't know, just call them your companion. Each one that you find has different attributes to change the way you play slightly.
So, because I didn't do any of these challenge rooms, right? Like, and oh, wow, that's crazy. So I never even opened up any of these 8 doors. Like, I opened up a couple 3 shard doors, 4 shard doors, because there's a number of different ones. Like, and even as you're getting there, what I love about this game is, like, there are open roaming exploration sectors in every area, but then there's also these little parts that you enter, which are what I'd call skill checks, kind of like, do you have they lock you in there and you have to defeat all the enemies and they're just throwing a couple waves at you. It's not as intense as the challenge rooms, which I watched you play, but there's still a challenge and a skill check because before you can get to that crow boss, you have to get through. Another thing that they do very early on is they show you that every area actually has an elevator that takes you down to subterranean levels. And that's what this game really is. It's one map above, which is whatever beautiful sector you're in, which really are great biospheres. They've created 4 really unique biospheres. But then when you go down to the subterranean levels, that's kind of when you get the hints of this unified society, right? Like you said, those labs. But they all have that same mechanistic sort of like underground future society aspect to them, right? Like that's kind of where you see the unified society and how it has set up its world.
Yeah, it's all very clean. It's very clean, almost like white or light gray. Everything's very mechanical. It's not. Yeah, it is kind of like, especially in the north. It's very unified. The subterranean areas are very unified. In the east, you have some of that like moss and nature overgrowing it a bit, but not so much in the north. But that's a good point. There's 2 layers to it. But tell me, as somebody that had never played it before, when you first you got to town, you went north. Like, what were you thinking? What was your experience?
What the fuck am I doing? How the fuck do I do it? No. I mean, honestly, you're just learning as you go. Part of the reason why I wanted to have such a quick second playthrough, which I haven't gotten a chance to because I'm limited on time right now, but I definitely will, is because you're just learning the game. So I was learning the game. I was enjoying it. I was getting that Zelda Link to the Past nostalgia. So, I was beating everything. I was going through it. I was a little daunted by the subterranean world. Like I did have a tendency to avoid that because it felt at first to me as if it were a more challenging dimension to every area you were in. Because every time you went down there, guys were a lot more clustered together.
Yep.
It does get a little more challenging. So if you're not up to snuff with your skills and you don't have the right skills, you get to that wall where you really either have to grind through or you have to wait and accumulate enough credits to buy the skills that'll make it easier for you. That's why by the time I got to the crow, I explored a little bit. I didn't really deep dive. In my second playthrough, I would love to try and get all the shards because now I know what the challenge is of those rooms. Like I know it's doable. At the time, I kept fearing that I would fall into go down some elevator that was just going to be too challenging for me.
Sure.
And the biggest thing with this game is that like you always just get restarted back at the section. This beginning, I guess you could call it, like the part where you entered with the exact things you had. So, it can feel sometimes like if you reach a part that's too challenging, it'll just keep pushing you back and pushing you back. You have everything you started with in that section, so you could just turn around and you don't feel like you've lost anything, which is better than what Front Software does. So, but, so everything was accessible. I was still a little frightened. So by the time I got to the boss, it blew my mind that I actually had a pretty easy time. I think it was on my 3rd or 4th try. I beat it.
Nice.
But I could see why, without the right skills, that could be very challenging. You know what I mean? Because he is, the crow boss is both like using his magic to like make tiles under you explode in a manner of speaking, doing like a worm trail of explosions that you have to run around from, and then also shooting things at you. So at least if you have the bounce back bullet skill, that will probably help you. If you have chain dash, that probably helps you.
Huge.
But if you and I are doing that in the beginning, we don't have chain dash. We don't have bullet bounce back.
Nope.
We don't have anything. And in every section, if you want to go back to town after you've accumulated enough credits, that's great. But you only get one area you can fast travel back to in that whole area. So if that's not by the boss or if that's not by where you were, you're going to have to hammer your way back through a lot of the same challenges.
Yep.
But I enjoyed it. Like, I mean, immediately I felt that the atmosphere of this game was so compelling that I knew I couldn't turn around. Not only that, but the atmosphere combined with the music set such a wow, like tone, like such a vibe, as the kids say today.
Yeah.
And it was such a vibe. I was like, man, I have to play this, even if I'm shit at it. Like it's just like the music, the areas, like this is it, man.
Yeah, the vibes are immaculate, as they say.
Yeah.
Would it blow your mind to know that when I was first doing the 8 shard room in the North Zone, I had no upgrades other than the shotgun?
Well, you being you, no, but if you were a mere mortal like the rest of us gamers,
I didn't say I
I
beat
might, I
it.
might say,
I didn't say I beat it with no upgrades. I said I was trying it. And I was freaking losing it because I kept getting so close. But there's you know how there's the one crow that does like a direct blast to you, and then there's the fatter crow wizard that he'll like shoot 3 projectiles at you, and if you get close, he does the smaller version of the ground explosion.
yeah,
So you're on this. It's literally just like, I think it's like 4x4 groups of tiles in that challenge room, and there's the flying guys just coming at you, you know, kamikazing you like crazy. You deal with them, half the floor disappears, some more appears over there that you can't get to, more kamikaze guys. You have these dudes launching projectiles at you nonstop. I didn't have the deflection or anything. I got close a couple times, but it just like I couldn't. Eventually I gave up, upgraded, and then beat it. It was like, oh, I really was dead set on trying to do it with just the normal upgrades. I'm not that guy, unfortunately.
no, you're not him, Bob. But the shotgun is what you got from the first boss.
Yep.
I didn't get the shotgun. They gave me the
The railgun.
the
Sorry,
longer-
the railgun.
Yeah, the railgun.
Not the shotgun.
The railgun maybe was a little more accessible during that challenge room because I feel like with a shotgun that would have been mind numbing. But we're on these challenge rooms, so I know nothing about the challenge rooms because I didn't do this. I'm so fascinated by this concept that what you earn in there, depending on the cape or the bot, your little companion, or the blade you have, changes it. Like what kind of changes?
So just to be clear, when you do find this gear, you get a full set. So it'll be a full set of like whatever color. You get all the cape, the sword, and the buddy. The kind of things that they do, and you don't have to equip all 3. By the way, you can have a mix of 3 different things to get 3 different bonuses. So to be like stamina recovers faster, your grenades recover faster, you heal faster, you have less time in between your sword combos. Because you know how like when you go 1, 2, 3, there's a delay? You can make that delay much shorter with one of the things that are equipped. There's the one that you can get right near the end of the game for beating the 5 horde mode challenges, which is a whole other thing I'll talk about later. But that one, if you put on like that cape or that sword, every enemy you kill dies in like more brutal fashion. Like you just use I don't know if you ever noticed in the heat of the moment, when you do the charge sword, if you kill a guy with a charge sword, their death is more brutal. I never noticed. They have a different death animation. Yeah. So it turns that cape from the horde mode or the sword or whichever one you use makes every kill like a power sword kill or charge sword kill.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. No, I never noticed that because I was too busy just
trying to survive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so, 2 of them in the 4 zones, 2 of the 8 shard rooms it's just combat, pure combat. And then 2 of them are movement challenges. Like in the west zone, when there's like little spikes and then you walk over them and they become really big spikes.
Yeah.
There's a room where you just have to dash the whole way around this maze with those things just constantly popping off. Like the whole floor is those spikes. It's crazy.
Well, speaking of the west, why don't we move to the west? Because funny enough, that's where I went second.
Okay. That's where we differ. I always go east second.
Well, I had to backtrack, but I did go west second and made it to the boss and then had to hightail it back to get more credits. Because that was without certain gear, that boss is impossible. Like you need certain gear for that boss. Like you could not go west first unless you're a legend of this game and not a mere mortal and beat that boss first. There's no way. I'm convinced you can't.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm sure somebody could do it. It's not me. It's not you. I'm sure somebody can do it. But this is probably, I don't know if this is controversial to you because we both love the North so much. The West is my favorite zone.
Interesting. Interesting. I mean, I haven't played it enough to make that judgment, but the West reminded me the most of Zelda.
Yeah, yeah, you're not wrong. It's more forest, right?
Yeah, it reminded me of the Great Forest you get lost to, where you find the true Master Sword in A Link to the Past.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
More.
because there's like overgrowth and enemies are running out of the overgrowth.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the biggest thing of the West is you kind of get in there, and the enemies at first are actually easier. Like the base enemies are easier than the North. Like they're a lot more accessible. As you get deeper in, they get a little more challenging. Like you start off with just basic guys who rush you. Those dogs can be a bit much at times.
Yeah.
But later on, you get to those guys that are both I think the sword guys, right, that rush you,
Mm-hmm.
and the gun guys that are not the one or two hit guys or the three hit guys.
Yeah.
And they get a little more challenging. They get a little more challenging.
I find the three hit guys pretty easy to deal with because it's anything more than three is where this game. Where sorry, not with this game, but where an enemy gets tougher, in my opinion, because you can get off your three hit combo pretty quickly, and the gun dudes shoot pretty slowly, and by that point you'll probably have something to reflect bullets back anyway, so you can get right in their face. The little green goblin dudes, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those, even though they have 3 health, if you mess up your timing, you'll probably get 1 or 2 hits, and then they'll get you before you get the third one. I have more trouble with the little green goblin dudes than the dudes with the 3 health and a gun in the West.
Well, but that's where I think the game motivates you to have the charged sword attack early on, because everything does have 3 health, and you kind of need that charged sword attack, I'd argue, for the main boss. You need dash, and you need the charged sword attack at minimum.
I'd agree.
Minimum.
I agree. And
Because of just the way he attacks.
yeah, and to make your life a little bit easier, the reflect projectiles, I think, is a good recommendation.
I didn't have that till endgame, so I don't know. Like, I didn't do anything until endgame with that.
So me personally, I always get the chain dash and the charged sword as soon as I can. What about you?
I've learned that lesson.
What did you?
I've learned that lesson, but I'm an idiot, and I didn't do that.
So what did you do?
Okay, so the first thing I invested in was another health pack, no matter what.
Okay.
Okay. And then I did the dash through and hit, because I found myself often in a cluster and I wanted to find ways to get out of it. And because when you go north, there are guys that shoot at you, but not as many as when you get to the west. The west is when there's a lot more shooters. And in the east even there's more shooters.
East is the most, I think.
Yeah. So these shooters are kind of what necessitate that. So I went extra health, dash, and I upgraded one of my guns, and then I went power dash. Then I went like dash combo, and then I came back and upgraded the power sword, did another health pack, upgraded another gun, and then did deflect bullets back.
And you still didn't have grenades at this point.
Oh, grenades! I slipped in grenades before I did grenades like as my 5th or 6th one.
Because
But yeah, I didn't do the reflect bullets till later.
grenades come in clutch big time in the underground areas where it's super claustrophobic, because you can get a lot of damage or take a lot of the little dudes out. And I find on the west, especially, it's because of the forest being very maze-like. There's a lot of cramped areas in there, even though it's more open than underground. But there's a lot of arenas in that one, especially, where I find you just get tons of little like cannon fodder enemies thrown at you, and a grenade really makes your life a lot easier.
Well, and even the home stretch, I'd call it, leading to the boss, because when you get to the save point, it's like in the heart of the forest, and then you've got multiple routes you can take. But when you get to the end game part on the cliffs, when you've got this long stretch before you get to the boss, you are just going through like a gauntlet of those 3-hit enemies, the taller ones with the swords and the guns. So like, yeah, if you have a grenade there, that's great. That'd be better, because there's so many of them coming at you.
Yeah.
So many. It's like a giant gauntlet you have to get all the way to the end.
Big time. And the sword guys, I think, have like 5 or 6 health, because they don't go down unless you do a charged sword. That's the only way to get them in like one combo.
Yeah, in one combo, yeah. But
Yeah.
otherwise that. So here's a question about the West, because there's a lot of things I never figured out. You find a little hut in like a beam of light on one of the paths. And in there is like a guy of some kind. What's his deal? Because you have to come back to him later when you're like a little stronger. He doesn't do anything for you if you come too early.
The guy in the hut. Can you talk to him?
Yeah.
One of the guys you talk to?
Yeah. Yeah, he's in the forest. He's there. It looks like almost like there's cauldrons around him and stuff like that.
Oh, he tells you where the boss
God.
is. That's the guy who tells you what happened in that zone. It's not a matter of coming back when you're stronger. That's your like brief history of what happened in that zone,
Okay.
and then it after you talked to him, your map opened and it showed you where the boss was, right?
I guess I thought he had some greater secret to tell me or something
No,
like
no,
that. I was like, no,
unfortunately not.
I don't know. I thought this was like a Zelda moment where I'd come back and he sells me some like special cauldron or something like that.
Did you find the guy in the north that has all the little bird babies? Like that's who he was
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
rescue? Yeah. Same sort of
Yeah,
deal.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know the others too. It's just that guy specifically. So the West, as much as I enjoyed it, the thing is the underground parts in the West were hard as fuck. Like those ones were some of the hardest ones in my opinion.
I find the West the most confusing to navigate. That's
Yes.
the only one where I really struggled even this time to find the eighth shard or fragment. Like this is my one critique of the game, or my main critique of the game is the map is absolute dog shit. The map is fucking
Yeah.
terrible. It doesn't make any sense. Like I don't know how you're supposed to read that any legibly or figure that out, but it's like, there'll be a path that connects to the left and you go to the left and all of a sudden your icon is moved like 180 degrees the other way. Or, it's like it didn't make any sense to me. Still didn't then, doesn't now. And the west is the like least straightforward of all of the areas to navigate. It doesn't
Yeah.
the way that all of the screens connect is very, I don't want to say like, it's just weird. Not bad, it's just weird. It's almost like everything is like the magic forest in Zelda where it's not, if I go up I'm going to go up. Like I might go up but then it's going to be blocked off and I have to go left to get to the zone that's like 3 spots over and up. So that made finding all of the shards a little difficult, but it does have this. Even with all the chaos and the crystal monsters and the guys shooting at you, once that zone is quiet, I found it very like serene. It was very peaceful.
Sure. I was never quiet for me, so I don't know. I was never quiet. I was always just getting chased by fucking dogs that are hopping out from under trees, and there's just like a swarm of guys behind there, freaking coming to chase me out.
So you were never like clearing a zone so you could take a breath, maybe look around a bit. It was always just like go go go.
Well, the North I treated that way. I can't say the West was. Look, the West. The challenge with the West was for me because, like you said, it was hard to navigate, and because the reload point, like the fast travel point, is right in the middle of it. So if you have to go back, it's a fight to get back to the end.
Totally.
It's a fight. It's not an easy process to get back to the end if you do have to go back. So because I got to the boss and the boss was just trucking me. Like I did not have the upgrades I needed. I had power dash, but I hadn't mastered it yet, or continuous dash. And I didn't have the great sword, or the power sword. It's like I just didn't have the elements to make it happen. So I had to go back, and then fighting my way back there, I really didn't want to strafe and explore. I just wanted to get back to that boss and get my vengeance.
Sure, it does take a while, and like the North Zone, the fast travel point is pretty darn close to the boss.
Yeah.
You still have to go through like a little bit of a few underground sections to get to him, but it's much closer than the West and much easier to navigate than the West.
Well, and one thing that this game does, because I went from north to west, I felt it more extreme. On the way to the boss in the north, they are just bombarding you with first aid kits, like health packs. And in the west, no. No. You're lucky if you get one health pack all the way up to the boss. So I went from like riches, like literally feast to famine. I was like, what the fuck? Like, give me 2 health packs at least against this guy. Please. No.
So what upgrades did you get that helped you beat the West boss, and how many times do you think it took you?
Coming back?
No, just in general.
I
Like,
mean, I got frustrated. The time I got frustrated and went back was probably 6 times. And
mhm.
then when I went back, it only took me 2 times to get him because, like, I understood what I needed to do. I just got the power sword. The power sword was the only thing I needed. Like, and the grenade. Because the grenade, because what happens with the main boss is it's like, because you're on this platform, he just like jumps forward with this big ass blade, and you have to kind of be able to chain dash away from him all the time. And once in a while, he awakens people trapped in crystal or ice or glass,
Yeah.
and they come out and they start attacking you. So if you have the grenade, you can dispose of those guys pretty quick, and you don't have to worry about having to deal with them while this guy's hurling himself at you. And then when he starts hurling himself at you, have the power dash. Well, he's actually pretty sluggish in his turnaround, so you can have a second to just bam. So it only took 2 tries after I got the power slash.
Nice. That's good. I
Yeah.
There was the boss in the west and one of the like special bosses, we'll say. I was so close to one-shotting both of them, and I just had like I, an input whammy, and it cost me
Okay.
the one shot. But I think you were there with me when I finally realized that for once the excuse of it's the controller was legit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It was.
So
It was.
I kept
It was.
feeling like I was missing, like I would be hitting the button or an input and nothing would happen, and I was like, no, it's just I'm just not, I'm messing up because in this game it is very fair. Generally, when you're dying, it's because you've made a mistake. It's not because the game
Yeah.
is cheap. I never once felt like this game was cheap, and that when I died, it was the game's fault. In this instance, funny enough, it was actually the controller dropping inputs when I was trying to do things, and when I switched to my other one, all of a sudden I didn't have those issues and started having much more success. So the controller
I don't know what
robbed
he's
me,
talking
Mike.
about.
Robbed me.
I have no idea what he's talking about. I have no memory of this. He's actually just being a bitch. And
You already
I
said
told
you
him to
do.
step
It's
up.
too late. It's too
And
late.
I gave him a speech like from any given Sunday. I don't know if the crowd is too young to know that speech. I gave it to him, and he just stepped up. Nothing to do with the controller. He was just being a bitch.
You're right. You're my video game muse, Mike. Without you, I never could have done this.
Okay, too bad. You're the guy who's coming around and helping people and stuff like that. But anyways. So my third area was the east, but that was your second area. So why don't you take us through the east a little bit?
So the east one, I'll call it my least favorite. I just, not that it's bad. It's just of the four zones that we do end up going to, it's the one I like the least. It is. It's the water level, the obligatory water level. Almost everything is surrounded by, water and waterfalls, and the enemies you're facing are like frogs and badgers and these son of a bitch vegetation monsters, which are just relentless. But it's freaking gorgeous. When you find the Titan poking through the waterfall, like just grasping on, like, just its arm is there with that huge sword the size of a building. Like it's stunning. It's freaking stunning. And then you run into an otter person when you go through there, and the otter person tells you about how the frogs and the badgers are killing everyone, and they're being led by, and you only sort of see it in shadow, this giant, like, barnacled monstrosity of a behemoth frog that's commanding everyone to be killed. And then you go one screen over and you see one of these frog ninjas like dragging another otter like into a corpse of pile of corpses.
Yeah.
Like it's again, it's so colorful, and then you just have this horrendous imagery. Like, there's a crazy juxtaposition in this game. And then, like you said before, this is the most projectile heavy zone by far, because you have the frog ninjas throwing ninja stars at you. You have the badgers that'll pull this like jar out of their backpack and they chuck it, and 5 projectiles come out of there. So having the dash upgrade that lets you go through projectiles is super handy. Being able to hit the projectiles back at them is also gonna save you a whack of headaches. And same deal. You got to go through, find 4 to 8 shards, and take down the boss and do the challenge room.
It's interesting that this is your least favorite, because this is probably my second favorite.
After North being the most favorite, right?
Yeah, and then like West and South are tied for like least because West is just a little confusing. It is pretty, but it's just confusing, and I don't know. I maybe West is my least favorite, but East. But the other thing too is that the underground subterranean levels, like you said, they're a little bit more relic-y. Like they are still of that same futuristic society, but there's a little more moss. There's parts of it that feel like you're almost going through temples, and they almost do have those like Indiana Jones style temples down there where things are a little easier, a little more accessible. I remember in the labs down there, there's a lot of like prison bays where you have to. I think that's the one where you have to open all the doors for the prisons
Yep.
and stuff like that, and you have to bash through. That one I found very interesting. That was actually my favorite subterranean, second favorite subterranean level, because it was just interesting. I think there's also what's interesting is if you don't have chain dash going into this one, I'm pretty sure in the East is the one where you have a sub challenge at one point where you have to chain dash across like a bunch of pillars with fire on them.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's in the East.
That's in the
And
East.
that's in the East.
Yeah, it's like 3 across, 1 down, 2 across, down. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not just like a straightforward like across down, across down. They put a wall in there to mess you up. But yeah, as soon as you step on one of those platforms, a thing of fire or a column of fire comes up. So you got to do it all the way there, and then you got to get back too. And the first time I did it, this time I died on the way back, and then it was like I didn't fall and then respawn. Like I died. So that room reset, which I think could annoy some people, by the way, is this resetting mechanic that you touched on earlier. In a lot of games, if you collect something, artifact or collectible or whatever, like in Assassin's Creed, one of the feathers or something, if you collect that and you die, you still have it. In this game, if you haven't progressed to another room and you die in that room, even if you've collected a health pack or a coin or a weapon upgrade or whatever, you have to go back and get them again. So if you fail that challenge that you're talking about, or if you die after you've completed on the way back, you don't get the coin.
Yeah, but I honestly, although it has helped me in games where you just have to collect something once and you get to keep it, even if you die on the way back, I do think this is a fair way to do it, because I think if you want to earn something, you got to earn it. I just know not all games are set up in a way to give you, because it's usually accessible checkpoints. It's not like you're going back in a From Software sense and having to redo miles and miles of stuff. You're pretty close. It'll be like 1 to 2 challenges away, or 1 to 2 rooms away. You have to battle back your way through. It's very seldom when you get to something and you fail at the very end and you're like, oh, I gotta climb this mountain to get here. You're like, no, I just gotta cut through a room or two. Or they start you, for example, like that one over the fire pillars, they start you at the mouth of the fire maze. Like, you know what I mean? They don't
Yeah.
make you go back 2 rooms or anything like that. They know where to set you up.
Yeah, like you're never going to be transitioned to like the start of a dungeon or something. It's always the room, the last room that you entered. And you're never going to go through a room, go into another room, die, and then get put 2 rooms back. It's still very fair. I just feel like some people might chafe against of having to collect the same thing twice because they died, or 3 times because they died twice, etc. You know, I feel like that might be a point of contention for some people.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I think people in general with gaming, it's oftentimes the fact too that you're playing these bulky, huge games. When you're playing a 6 to 9 hour game, get over yourself. Because honestly, it's just a 69-hour game. Like having to redo a single room or 2 isn't that big of a deal. Again, if this was like a 100-hour game, I'd be freaking livid, man. I'd be livid, but it's not.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. You know, the longer a game is, I'd like to think they're trying to respect your time more. And like you said, you know, if it's 9 hours, like come on, like suck it up.
Yeah, the game we're playing right now, which we're going to talk about we'll mention at the end, but like if I had to do that, it's like it can be a 100-hour game. It doesn't have to be, but it can be a 100-hour game. Like no way, no way.
Yeah.
Like if there's a part where I'm like I need to get through, or I need something essential, like man, don't make me do all that again. Like that, games like designers have to kind of keep in mind how many hours people are putting in through here. But we'll talk about how I think this game could have been longer afterwards and why. But anyways, so the East, you fight that giant frog at the end, right?
Yeah, and you know, I think of all the bosses, that Toad makes the strongest case for everything having become corrupted by this evil, as opposed to just some, there's evil frogmen in this world that are killing everything. Because he looks nasty. He looks like something's wrong with him.
He does. And I mean, all of them have an aspect to themselves that's infused with cybernetics. That's where I think, like, it's almost like it is like a corruption, but it's like an almost cybernetic corruption that distorts their organic elements or their organic constitution.
Could be.
So it is what it is. But arguably, that is the easiest boss.
Yeah, one shot every time. Every time it's a one shot.
Yeah. The man over here. Yeah,
I'm not saying it, the man. That's just most common, is that guy's a one shot. Like, when this game first came out, I remember people like complaining about the Crow boss and quitting the game.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And then, there was me, 10 years ago being all smug, being like, I beat him first. Look at these. Look at these scribs. Get good.
Well, yeah. And I mean, and you do have to, no matter what, because the last zone, the south, you can't even get to unless you've cleared the other three.
Yes. And before we talk about that one, of the three, the north, west, and east, which enemies did you prefer fighting?
Like just base enemies?
Yeah. The enemies of that zone.
North.
Which ones do you prefer? Still the north?
North. Still the north.
Okay. And you asked me before we recorded this, is there any enemy you wouldn't have seen from not doing the challenges? And at the time I told you no. And then found out that I was wrong. I had remembered wrong. It's only one. There's one enemy you haven't seen that only shows up in the challenge rooms.
Okay, what is it?
So, the little green goblin dudes? Picture like a massive one with armor that has a minigun that he'll shoot like a bunch of shots at you and then stop, chase after you, shoot a bunch of shots at you. He needs 2 charge swords to take down. He doesn't go down in one. He's got a lot of health, and he just the gap in between his multiple shots is very short. He's a very tough enemy. And the other thing he could do is he pulls out his sword and screams, and then he makes all of the little green goblin guys come at you like right away, nonstop.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, they get faster and they get more aggressive every time he chants.
It's like a mutated, stronger version of the one guy that does have a machine gun. Because there's a big guy with a machine gun in the enemy's base that does pop, but it's only like 4 or 5 shots and never raises a sword up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a 2.0.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the one enemy you haven't seen. I'd say my least favorite enemy comes in the east zone, which is that giant plant monster that comes out of the ground, just opens its mouth and charges at you.
I know.
It can be such a pain in the ass. And
I agree. And watching you play the challenge room that's what kept getting you over and over and over again.
Yeah, was that bugger. And one of the things you can get from the challenge rooms is an even stronger railgun that you can only upgrade to have 3 shots, but that gun one-shots those things.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I just want to apologize to all our English fans for that B word he busted out there. It's very inappropriate.
What B word?
I'm joking, bugger.
Oh.
I had to. Only our UK fans. Yeah, I know who you are.
I had no idea what you were talking about there, but yeah. Being able to one-shot those things was, after suffering at their hands so many times, that's sweet justice.
Well, that advanced railgun is something where it's like, I think there's a lot of enemies that would help for. Because if you have this much gear going to the south, like, the south is, to me, another one that was very Zelda-esque. Because it's the desert, and just like in the desert in Zelda: A Link to the Past, you have to crawl through this desert to get to this big temple at the end. And same with this. This actually, majority of the south, first off, you do find another person who tells you where the boss is, but sadly, it is the,
Yeah, the pink drifter you see him over the course of the game a few times, and the Pink Drifter also has an illness. He's also coughing up blood, and the second last time you see them, it's pretty bad. And then you finally make it to the South Zone after having dropped all of the barriers on your way, and you're just entering the zone, and the Pink Drifter is there, and, you know, tells you this is where the boss is, and then succumbs to their illness. It sucks. And then you take their gear and leave. So you could have taken you took the Pink Drifter's gear, right?
Yeah, I put it on and wore it till endgame. What was that power?
That's your stamina recovers faster.
See, I didn't know. I didn't fucking know. I just put it on. I didn't even pay attention to this shit.
That's okay.
Because it's so marginal. The change is so marginal. It's there, but I couldn't tell. I thought it was just a purely aesthetic thing.
I mean, from an aesthetics perspective, all the different swords especially I think are awesome, because when you do the charge blade, the color of it changes, right? Depending on what color sword you have, and it can look really cool with some of the colors. The South Zone is probably my second favorite.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I like that it's saved for last, and I think narratively, you know, within the confines of the story, it makes perfect sense, because the South Zone is almost exclusively, it's all underground, right?
Yes.
And that's where you really start seeing, like, the vestiges or the remnants of the old world before whatever this cycle that happened or this cataclysm that happened was. You see you see the parts of the giant robots. You have you walk into one room and there's these massive eyeballs staring at you. Another room has a heart the size of some of the buildings in the town just beating in a vat. You see some of the enemies you've been fighting just like held in stasis in some sort of liquid because they haven't been completed or they haven't been activated yet. You know, you see where everything has come from, or a lot of what you've been fighting has come from, and just how advanced they were, but also how much devastation there is in that zone. I like that it was locked off from the town and you couldn't see this until you'd done everything else.
Yeah, and I mean, and you are right about saying that the top desert is just the walking ground to get you to these underground labyrinths, because every single one almost has also, like you said, the full answers of kind of what came before, and also a sub-boss in every single one. I think you fight 3 or 4 sub-bosses, right?
Yeah, there's the archer, the magician, or something like that, and then the summoner. There's 3 of them. No.
Yeah.
4. There's 4. There's 4.
If you're chasing all the shards, you'll see all 4. I only saw 3.
Yeah. So like the archer, which you saw, all very obvious, has a bow. I'm gonna call him the magician, where he flies around and he just always shooting magic balls at you and makes the floor disappear. There's the summoner, which he'll call a bunch of little like projectile shooting robots. And then there's a 4th one, which I'm just gonna call the Reaper because it has a scythe.
I did not fight the summoner.
I think you have to fight the summoner. I think that's...
I saw the Reaper, then I didn't see the magician.
Because the summoner pops up when you try to take your first shard out of that zone.
And it's an illusion.
What do you mean it's an illusion?
The first shard I went to go take disappeared, and it was an illusion. He was it.
Oh, yeah. But those are all robots for sure that have been corrupted by the evil, because they're all covered in black, but then when you slice them in half, it's cybernetic.
Yeah, but that's where it's like that image, especially in that southern part, is where it's the strongest, because everywhere you go, all you're seeing is just corrupted darkness, machinery, and the vaults and the subterranean vaults look even larger than ever before. You can almost see the fall off more than you could in other ones.
Yeah, totally. There's all these zones or areas in there where you'll be on a platform that just looks like it goes endlessly into these depths. And the devastation there is by far the worst out of any of the zones, above and below.
Yeah.
It's gone, which again makes sense to me why it would be blocked off until it's almost, you could say the village is like skill checking you until you've done the other parts. They don't think you're strong enough to go down there. Yeah,
I mean, and to be honest with you, you can do the bare minimum and get to the boss, but that one really is the ultimate of all ultimate skill checks to get to the main boss. Because if you can't get through all this stuff, I just find it crazy. I keep laughing at this that you and I have the complete opposite list. Like my least favorite is your favorite section. My second least favorite is your second favorite. My second, well, I guess you like the north third, but that's crazy because I'm north, east, south, and west, and you're west, south, north, and east. That's crazy.
I'll say my top three are all very close, with East having more of a gap. I really like North, West, South. They're all freaking awesome. It's just, if I have to pick, that's the order I'm going to put them in.
Well, and the challenge with this game is when you get to the south, if you really haven't liked the underground parts, you're gonna fucking hate this part. It's like that's all there is. Like the only time you're up there is just to get to another elevator that takes you underground.
Yeah, I want to say I disagree, but I don't think I can make too strong of a case for you being wrong on that one. It feels different enough because it's so much more of the old world as opposed to the pristine ones of the other areas. But again, like you said, if you didn't enjoy being underground in the other zones, being stuck for the whole southern zone underground is going to be a challenge.
You know, and funny enough, for me personally, I found this boss to be the easiest.
What was the last boss on this one? Now I'm having a memory blank.
He would poop grenades, I'd call them, because he just flies around and then drops grenades all over the ground like mines, and then just shoots. It's like an ultimate archer who just shoots tons of arrows. Like
it's the archer.
Pap, 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 pap. But it's not. There is a sub archer you have to fight leading up to him, and then this is the main archer.
Right. Yes. Okay. You know what's crazy is in preparation for this, I was looking at some stuff. The Switch version actually has another area called the Tower, and at the and when you finish the tower, there's another version of the archer boss at the top of that, and the reward for beating it is you get I'm gonna call it the boomerang sword, where you can whip your sword out at enemies. Yeah, so I'm almost regretting.
Is the tower mandatory?
No, so it's optional content. And apparently it's not canon, whatever that means, in regards to this game. But I was going to say I wish I had played it on Switch instead of PC again, but now I just have an excuse to play the game a third time. Although I'm already doing a third playthrough with the alternate character, which has actually been really interesting.
Yeah, well, so let's get down to the end of sort of the exploration part, because after you get that last shard, you go back to the village, all four corners are raised, and the vault opens.
Mm-hmm.
And all you pretty much get, and I love, I have to give them credit. I was really dreading a whole nother dungeon leading to a boss, but all you have is a beautiful descent down an epic staircase with lots of health packs, down to a last boss room. And I can't tell you how much I appreciated just getting to just synthesize and digest everything I had just been through on this long march down into the darkness to just get to this corrupted heart of this bleeding civilization to find judgment waiting for me.
Not initially, right? What you see when you first get down there is the giant, power source or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, but it seems to be the cause of all of this bad. But it's also been in your visions that you're always trying to reach it, but you get pulled down by the darkness. And then as you get close, then judgment emerges from it. Yeah. And then the final battle begins.
Yeah, but even it is like corrupted, right? It's not this clearly power supply that was once there. It's a distortion of technology, which is, a beautiful motif in this whole game series. Is they kind of have just said, like, look, here's technology, here's innovation, and it was corrupted and destroyed.
That's not relevant today at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid that at all. It's a good thing all these AI engineers have not just partnered with military or anything like that. But anyways,
how did you find the fight against Judgment?
Not bad. It only took me about 5 or 6 tries. But as a boss, I was expecting more. Still, the most tries was the West boss, just because by that time you've learned the skills you need to learn to get this guy. Like, by when I got it, the bullet bounce back against these last two bosses was the make or break thing, because you could just get near and he's shooting, because he has phases, right? But throughout all the phases, one of his moves in his sequence is he just lets this huge burst of shots out where it's like he shoots like 60 bullets in every direction. And if you're close enough, you could just bash back like 12 of them at once at him, and they just take out a quarter of his health. So if you can get it through like 4 of those instances, he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah. It's me personally, what I like to do is either dodge those, because if you're far enough away, it's not so bad. And then he'll do his like massive screen, like energy beam. And then you just sort of like do a loop, get a charge hit in, dash away, use the super rail gun to get like 2 shots on him. And then when he does the burst fire mode, dash through that to recharge the gun and loop that a couple times. Then he has this one attack where it's like, it's almost random, where he just shoots a bunch of tentacles everywhere. But even that one I find is not too bad to deal with.
He maps them. He foreshadows them. Like he kind of, you see where the line's going to go before anything.
Yeah, the telegraph. Which is good. Like, it's not cheap. Again, none of it is cheap.
I was expecting more from that final boss. Not in a negative sense. I just mean, like, with the escalating challenge, I was expecting that the challenge of that last boss was going to be a huge leap, which I'm thankful it wasn't, because I enjoyed it more not being that way. But it's because it's still a challenge. It's just a case of, have you learned your skills up until now, or have you just gotten lucky?
This is where I feel like, I've said this before, where we're just better gamers now, Mike. Or we're smarter gamers, at the very least. Because when I played this 10 years ago, and I'm getting tired of saying that, I apologize that everyone has to keep hearing me say that. When I played this game the first time, I had a hard time with this boss. The pattern is not crazy complicated, but it just wasn't registering. And then I saw it once on this playthrough, and I was like, oh, like, I got this. As long as I can execute, like, I'm fine. You know, I wasn't worried about it.
Well, I mean, back then we were also drinking and smoking weed, so it's not.
That's getting edited out. Thanks, Mike. I guess it's not illegal anymore. We're fine.
We're in Canada.
Yeah,
we're in Canada. But we were also 10 years younger than what we are now. We were in our early 20s, and it's not even that we're just better gamers. I think we use a lot more thought as we've gotten older. Like, we're building on skills throughout all the games we've played. I'm sure there is, like, because, for example, I don't have a previous experience playing this game, right? So for me, the fact that I was able to just go through all this. We've also been playing games back to back to back to back recently, right? So as crazy as this sounds, like, there's skills from Samurai Gun that apply to this game.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like playing all these games back to back to back, I'm sure is having an effect on us, whether we don't want to say it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And good. I don't want to get rusty. I want to be playing games till I'm freaking 90.
Yeah, and I mean, 10 years ago, we were like, what, 16? Because we're still such young men, right? Like, we were like 16, 15.
I wish that were true, Mike. I wish that were true. We both know it's not.
That's why I display pictures of a bunch of old monkeys and not young ones.
That's right. So, you'd said to me that you wish there was more of this game. And I think that's probably the best complaint that any developer could ever hope for. That being said, there is more. You only played about half the game.
But the more I don't want to be challenge rooms and obstacle courses, the more I want more area map.
Well, there is. Like, a lot of these places are a lot of the other 4 shards are in places you haven't explored and are pretty cool. Like, the 4 main ones, the game generally leads you to them. And it's along a path that you're, like, supposed to be taking. The other ones, you have to go looking for them. And you find, more environmental storytelling. You find more areas you haven't seen. Or maybe you can just kind of catch a glimpse of, but never actually got to. Like, from an exploration perspective, there's definitely more. There is more combat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I would have liked, and maybe this is where the tower comes in, I would have liked 1 or 2 more areas. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I mean by that. I love that there's more depth map and you can explore more, but I would have honestly loved this to be a scale of a Link to the Past, where Link to the Past has like the north, the forest, the desert, the water temple, the ruins, and the main castle area. So six, and then you can go into the past and all those as well.
Yeah.
So like, so I would have loved to see like six areas with all the depth map and more, because I think there's the world that they have created is very rich and very unique, and I would have loved to see more of it.
I would have too. I think for a studio's first game, this was perfect in terms of scope, so that every zone or aspect of this game got their full attention, and it didn't. None of it felt stretched or like they were overreaching. I think they had a vision that they knew was achievable, and they knocked it out of the park. That's my opinion. Would I have loved more? Of course. Am I bummed that the sequel or the prequel to it, Hyper Light Breaker, is a 3D game and is a roguelike? Yeah, 100%. That's me personally, but am I also happy that there's more stuff that exists in this world? Yeah, unquestionably.
So, I mean, adding to what you just said, yes, as a first game, knocked it out of the park. This is a great, amazing, brilliant game. My complaint is that I want more of it. That's a great, like, that's like, you did it. You did a great job.
Yeah.
You created something that I wanted more of. And maybe the fact that it has the cap it does, and it's just a depth problem that I need to get over on my second playthrough, is a testament to why it's so digestible and tastes so good and I want more of it. It's because it didn't burn me out. It never hit a point where I was like, I'm burned out. I've done this over and over again. I never once hit that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never, ever, ever once hit that.
If that happened in a 6 to 9 hour game, that's not a good sign. So the fact that that didn't is a very good sign.
No, absolutely. And that's where it's like, I am kind of scared with Hyper Light Breaker, because I don't know the gameplay mechanics. I'm not talking about the roguelike nature of it, but I'm talking about like the gun/sword combo going into 3D. I'm scared from everything I've seen that it's just going to play kind of bland.
I don't know, and I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into Breaker or Trash and Breaker. I just want to talk about how much I love Drifter.
Yeah.
If you ever do go back for more and you want to do a full playthrough, this is a, like, if I say the visual language of a game, does that term make sense to you? Like, you load up a game and you can just by looking at it, you can understand what things are and sort of what's expected of you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. This game, more than any other, for me specifically, was like I was speaking the same language as the game. And I think... no, what am I trying to say? So it just... Right away, I connected with it. I knew what I was doing. I understood where it was telling me to go, but also where I could explore. And I'm curious if you noticed the hints that are scattered throughout all the zones.
Hints as to how to play?
No, the hints on where there might be hidden things.
Sometimes. I mean, the deeper I got into the game, the more I started noticing the edge of a map continuing on, or like a piece of moss at the bottom of like a floor where it was in other places, or, you know, what looked like a sudden break in a wall that just kind of fell off into black or something like that. There were little parts and stuff like that, but not always. Like on the outside, it was more visible to me, or there was like a ledge I could follow that led me to somewhere that maybe wasn't obvious. But when I got underground, it was a little harder because a lot of it had to do with guesstimating where a hole in the wall was or something like that.
So you never noticed the symbol?
The symbol?
There's a symbol.
No.
There's a
like,
symbol.
I mean, there was a symbol. I saw a symbol when there was invisible tiles. That's the only time I remember seeing a symbol.
There's that symbol, and there's one that's very similar when there's a hidden path.
No, I never saw it.
Ah, okay. So that's one of those things where it was definitely easier this time than the first time. Just like going through places pretty quick, and I was like, oh, there's a thing, there's a thing, there's a thing. Like I could just sort of pick it off really easy, which I like. I don't miss the old days of like Wolfenstein 3D where you're just strafing along a wall, hitting spacebar and hoping to find a secret wall or that opens up or something. I like when it's like, it's like winking at you, like, hey, maybe go over there, buddy.
Well, yeah, because in this case you could miss it. I missed it. I didn't know. I didn't freaking know.
Yeah, it's if I had gone through, in that 6-9 hours originally, I wouldn't have seen everything. I made a point to try and see everything and find everything. Find all the gear, find all the monoliths, find all the shards. If you're like, it's there in such a way that if you're not looking for it, it's not going to jump out at you. It's not just like a big neon sign. But if you are looking for it, you'll catch it. It's nice. It's unobtrusive. It's really nice. The other thing I learned about this game through the help of our trusty friend Simon, he told me about this. I can't remember the name, but he basically pointed me to a series that was making a documentary about Heart Machine. And I learned about the lead developer, Alex Preston, who has pretty much a terminal heart disease. So he's in and out of the hospital all the time and could possibly die at a moment's notice. He has a pacemaker installed, hence the Heart Machine being the name of the developer. But having that on his mind for his entire life also makes sense why, to me, the Drifter is the way he is in this game with that illness and that's constant fear of death chasing him down. That it added a whole new layer to me, for me, after learning that.
Yeah, I mean, already you said it, and I just saw images popping into my head of like him keeling over, him reaching for almost like what I would call the heart, like his machine heart in the middle, and is it corrupting him or not, or is it his salvation? Like, there's so many things there that's just, and there's so many images of hearts in vats.
Yeah,
in this game, and so many,
and judgment stalking him at every turn.
Yeah,
I mean, one of the when you were talking about in the vault in the heart of town, when you finally open that and you go down the elevator, when you're walking down the stairs, it's super quick, but judgment keeps flashing really, really quick. It's like maybe 1 or 2 frames. He's there as you're descending. Like, that's so creepy, but so well done. I love that moment in that game.
Well, and even then, it's like that is, I guess, deeper that it is judgment, because it is when the Drifter's pushing himself that his illness comes up. So it's almost like him reflecting, like the lead developer, Alex, you said?
Yeah.
It's like Alex almost reflecting on when he pushes himself, the blood comes out, the everything comes out, judgment comes to say, like, you're going too far right now. You know what I mean? This is going to be your fate if you continue on.
Yeah, luckily, unlike
dark.
It is dark, and luckily Alex is still alive today. Unlike the Drifter, who at the end of the game, as the vault is collapsing, is led out by the Hound. But I think the game ends where it begins, by that fire, away from the town. And the Drifter, succumbs to his illness there and dies as well, just like the Pink Drifter. And that's the end of the game, with an insanely, hauntingly beautiful piano score that plays you out.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore that song. It's beautiful.
Well, the music in general, the synthwave, it's like they stripped away the synth layer over a motif they had throughout the whole game, because it's the same motif that plays throughout most of the dream sequences, but without the synth filter over it.
You talking about the end credits song? Is that specifically?
Yeah.
But it's just piano. Yeah. It's just piano, I know. And it's just so beautiful. Anyway, like, I don't know about you, but when the Drifter has that final closing of his eyes, after having finished all of that, I always just kind of sit with it, and to sit with it with that song is just the cherry on top of a journey.
Well, I mean, this is a good game in regards to once again, a reflective game because they leave you with just enough open-ended questions where you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you just get to the end and you're just thinking about it. You're not like yeah, you had this great gameplay, but you are kind of like, I ended up right where I was. Like I said, visions of the future, right? And then you go back into the cycle. If you play again,
Mm-hmm.
you're repeating the cycle. And if you play as this new character, that's almost more telling that it's almost the fate of the universe to go through all these cycles, and there'll be a new drifter that'll come around and do new things, right?
Yeah, so I looked into this because this was not something I ever knew about, having never gone back and played again, and even when I was helping somebody else, like was on their first playthrough. It's a female drifter. I don't remember the name or if it's just female drifter, but it was a Kickstarter backer exclusive character for a year, but also only available if you beat the game. So when I beat the game initially, it wasn't available to me because I wasn't a Kickstarter backer. And then having seen it now with all the updates that have come out in the past, 9 years, it's available to everyone. It saw that I have a save game where it's finished, and it let me play as that character. It plays totally differently. So you only have 3 health instead of 5. And there's no sword. That drifter like throws a projectile that also does a bit of like area of effect damage. So you throw it not super far away from you, but farther than the sword could reach on the normal drifter, and you can hit multiple enemies at once. So it does feel easier because you can be a bit more ranged, but also be doing it really fast. So I think that's why the female drifter has 3 health instead of 5.
Wow. Wow. But I mean, good for them for creating a new gameplay experience, because you're not going to be able to just jump in, say I've done a costume change, and be able to play the same way. You're going to literally have to play a new way. But I mean, there's a couple secrets here where, like, one last thing before we slowly start winding down. Some of the secrets I saw were like we said, the dash room, right? Like, there's one thing in town. The other one is the soccer match. You can go down and you have to play a soccer match that earns you a credit. I don't know if there's like a further reward in that one or not, but
An achievement on your Steam achievements.
if you win certain number of soccer matches.
Just if you beat him, it's like the first to 10 points, I think.
Yeah, I beat him like a couple times in a row, and then I got the credits box or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then the challenge rooms. So you did the challenge rooms. Like, how does that feel different than the rest of the game?
So the ones in the zones, it's just, like I said, 2 of them are combat. So it's just, how are your skills doing? If you're good enough, here's a reward. The other 2 are movement based. So if you're good at dashing, you're fine. They're not crazy. I think they're very doable. But there's keys, like you mentioned, and in town there is a door that requires, I believe it's 12 keys to open. And there's 16 in the game. I got 14 out of the 16. I didn't feel like hunting down the last 2 just to open another door. But I got the 12 for the town. So you open that door, it takes you to an elevator, and then you're downstairs, and there's more, I'll call them people, but there's more villagers there, and you can interact with one of them, and sort of alludes to something. If you go off to the left, it's the like Kickstarter backer room, so you can see everyone that backed the game on all of these placeholders. Excuse me. And then if you go to the top of the room, there's 4 more elevators, and they have a skull with a line, and then 10 boxes. The skull with the line represents how many enemies you've killed, and the 10 boxes is what wave you got to. You have to, if you want to progress, get to finish 10 waves of each of these rooms. So 40 waves. It starts off with, and they all start off pretty easy. It's like maybe 1 enemy, maybe 2. Where it gets crazy is it's not the same every time. It's random. Yeah. The first one, and each one is specific to a zone. So there's a north, south, east, and west. It'll be only enemies from that type. The one you saw me, struggling with a bit was the east one because of the monsters. Or no, No, sorry, you didn't see me do the wave rooms. That was the challenge
No,
room.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, yeah. I did 3 of them super easy. One of them, which had the guy with the minigun, the Goblin Captain, I was getting so unlucky. I was getting like 3 or 4 of those guys at the same time, while the huge like swamp monsters were also trying to jump me. Like my luck was atrocious, and I was also playing badly, getting my ass kicked. So I stopped doing that one after like 15 tries. Did the other 3, came back the next day, beat that one, and I was super relieved. And then a new path opens when you've gotten to wave 10 on all of them. And it can keep going. You don't have to stop at wave 10. Like, you could just keep progressing as much as you want. But to accomplish what you need to accomplish to unlock the 5th room, or the 5th elevator, is to get to wave 10 on each. And there is also 4 health packs in each of these. So you have 4 health packs to get through 10 waves. It's not crazy. It can be super freaking hard. It's the hardest challenge in the game, in my opinion, but it's still, I think you'd be able to do it. Then you go to the last one, and then it's just anything goes. It's a really pretty room, in my opinion, and I'll put footage of it. It's like a translucent floor with just columns on, sort of the top and the bottom that you can maybe use for a bit of cover, but as you step, it like glows. It's really cool. And then it's just enemies from wherever, no holds barred. And it gets so crazy so fast. And then when you beat those, that's where you get the cape that does the power sword kills on every kill.
Damn. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And that's 50 waves you have to survive to get that.
Yeah. But again,
congratulations.
Thank you. It felt good to accomplish that and still, know I got the skills. It sounds like a lot, but again, the first 3 waves or 4 waves are over so quickly. It's I'd even argue the first 5 waves, except for the last one where it can just be anything, the first 5 waves in the original 4 dungeons are all pretty darn manageable. Once you get 6 to 10, that's where it's just like pray to judgment.
And hope you get the right sequence of things. Well, man, I mean, look, and this game is designed in a way where if you've gotten that far, you enjoy the combat and you enjoy the struggle. So it's just a culmination of more of what you've been doing. Yeah, the story's not there necessarily the same way anymore, but you should have enjoyed the combat if you've gotten this far.
I think so. And yeah, and like that's a good way of saying it. It's like here's a reward for you. It's a challenging one, but here's a reward. If you like the combat, here's way more of it. And you could do that as much as you like. It's sort of up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we've talked the crap out of this game, but this is your greatest of all time. So I need you to do the big spiel here as to like why. Why is this the GOAT?
I can only speak to my own experience, right? I mean, for me, it's just I want to say perfect game, but nothing is perfect. But it's the perfect game for me. The difficulty is right where I want it to be. It's not too easy. It's not too hard. The world is beautiful. All of the zones, northeast, southwest. The story, even though it's minimal, is great, and you can fill in the gaps. I love that we both had different interpretations of it. Yeah. The combat, it feels so damn good. It feels so damn good, especially when you're firing on all cylinders. And the one thing we didn't mention is when you get into those forced rooms that it doesn't let you out, and you beat the wave, the drifter does like a twirl and slams his sword into the ground just to make it extra badass. Like, hell yeah. Every time one of those moments happens, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Great music. Like, there's nothing about this that I don't like. If you want to play a synthwave freaking fever dream of Link to the Past because you like that style of game and you also like sci-fi, there's no better game. There isn't. I'm sorry. There's not. Nothing is going to touch this. There.
It's true.
That's my spiel.
It's true. Honestly, but that is the best description I could give of this game. A synthwave fever dream Link to the Past.
Yeah. They should put that in the box art description. And they'll sell 1 billion copies.
Yeah, 1 billion copies a year. Something start getting sold. Like, wonder what happened here.
So
all because of that guy from All Games Go to Heaven.
That's right. Huge shout out to Heart Machine Games for making my favorite game of all time. I'm super glad you liked it. I know these aren't your types of games, so I'm super pumped you liked it. That was a big relief for me.
No, but I mean, but it's just so unique. And no matter what happens at the end of the day, something that's truly unique can always captivate me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And we have Canada Day fireworks going off, and I'm sure my mic is picking up. So I'm just going to say thank you, buddy. Love you. I had so much fun playing and talking about this game again. So thank you for agreeing. And bye. Special thanks to Aaron Rastovic for the sweet beats.
Fantastic.
Great game.
That was a great game. One of the greats.
Great game.